nó thôi đi ra cả thôi đi phải đi việc đi quay mặt mặt ở đây đấy cầm
Ternyata saya nggak tahu.
mình cái này dalam kita bisa kalau tidak sempat dengan itu kan mereka dalam berdalam itu ya sama dekat datang malam di pemerintah ada keputusan nanti dekat ada gomli dia nanti enggak misalnya అవును. అది కూడా మళ్ళీ అంటే అడుగుతది పెండింగ్ అని ఉంటది. మళ్ళీ పెండింగ్ పంపించాక వాళ్ళ డీటెయిల్స్ అడుగుతది. ఫిలప్ చేసుకుంటే వెళ్ళాలి. అంతమంది పంపిస్తే అంతమంది వస్తది. అది పట్టించుకోండి. మనకి
I'll write in the next line, only small space. Wish message generator, end of the bean tag. And what is the first tag, guys? Beans. Array, it is there to surround all the bean tags, guys. End of the bean. Array, because of this date class becomes spring bean, guys, because by seeing this spring container becomes ready to create object for date class. Spring container becomes ready to manage whole life cycle of date class object. Super, guys. Because of this, wish message generator class object will be loaded, object will be created, and everything will be taken care by spring container. So that means, okay, this tag makes date class as spring bean. This tag makes wish message generator as a spring bean. Understanding my statement, guys? Super. Now listen. Okay, but I have a plan of writing sub tag under open bean tag and closing bean tag. That's why I have written bean tag separately. Why? Because Here no injections are required. But here I have a plan of doing what injection? Setter injection. For setter injection, what is the tag I should use? Property tag. On which property I want to do setter injection? Property name is date. So what should I do, guys? Here I should write property. On which property you want to do setter injection? Date property. As part of setter injection, which other Spring Bean class object you want to inject? Date class object you want to inject. Okay, we have to use a ref attribute, guys. What attribute? Ref attribute. Why ref attribute? Array, inject that class object that is referred by given bean ID dt. So ref means referred by. Are you listening my statement, guys? So this is for setter injection, guys. A container, I am configuring date property with property tag. So you perform setter injection to inject date class object to date property. Date class object to date property. Are you listening my statement, guys? Are you listening my statement, guys? Sir, what is this? DT. Spring Bean is identified with its bean ID, na? Once object is created for a class, okay, object is identified with reference variable name. When Spring Container creates any Spring Bean class object, with what name that object will be created? With bean ID that object will be created. DT opening and closing. This is for setter injection, guys. Now listen. Now, here no other injection, but here what? Date class object is injected to date property. So here some injection is happening, here no injection is happening. That too, come on. That too, okay. DT is there here. So can I say this is a target Spring Bean class configuration? This is a dependent Spring Bean class configuration. Come on, guys. Array, this is already decided class name. What class name you have taken? Same class name you have to take here. Whatever classes you are writing, they are the fully qualified classes. Bean ID is your choice. But class names, you already decided some names, you have to use those things. So how to write comments in XML file, guys? Same as HTML comments. Same as HTML comments. What is this, guys? Dependent Spring Bean class configuration. Dependent Spring Bean class configuration. Next, target Spring Bean class configuration. These are the comments, guys. HTML comment, XML comments are same. Right. This is for setter injection, guys. Okay, for setter injection. This is purely for setter injection. Clear, guys? Now listen, I am going to give this file as input file 2. As input file 2. Come on. Spring Container while creating Spring Container. Okay, now focus. By seeing bean tag 1, bean tag 2, what it will think? Date is one Spring Bean, wish message generator is another Spring Bean. Now listen, under wish message generator property tag is there. The 2 in the ref attribute, first date class bean ID is there. So I can say wish message generator is the target class and date class is the dependent class. There are no permanent target class, permanent dependent class, guys. We see the relation, who is being used by who. Date is used by wish message generator. That's why wish message generator is target, date is dependent. That's it, guys. No, there is no special tag or special attribute to make class as target, to make a class as what? Dependent, boss. Very simple. Date is used by wish message generator. Date bean ID is there inside the bean tag of wish message generator. That's why wish message generator is what? Target one. Okay, date is dependent one. But how to tell to Spring container, you are interested to perform setter injection on XYZ property. That property name you are mentioning in the property tag. See, what is the property name? Date. How you are telling to Spring container? A Spring container, you have to inject some other bean class object. Spring bean is identified with its what? Bean ID. What is the date class bean object, guys? DT. What is the date class bean object name? DT. Because ID becomes object name, na? Same DT is placed. Same DT is placed here. So that what happened? We are giving instruction to Spring container. You perform setter injection on date property by calling setDate method having date class DT object as the argument value. So indirectly what happened, guys? WMG dot set date DT will be called. WMG dot set date DT will be called. Come on, guys. Okay. This line makes container to call. This line makes Spring container to call. I'll give complete flow later. Call WMG dot target class object set date. Based on date, set date is decided. With what, guys? DT, dependent class object. Okay, guys. To assign or inject, come on. The date class object DT to the target class object. What is that? Wish message generator. Object. What is that, guys? Wish message generator object WMG. I hope you are understanding my point, guys. To inject the dependent date class object DT to the target class object wish message generator WMG. Easy na, boss? Simple na, boss? Come on. Right. See, listen. Today, first time na looks bit new. Day one of core Java main method also heavy ra Bob. Later it has become easy. After that dead easy. After that nothing. Now you are playing with main method. This XML also same. New remains new until we make it old. First application a bit new. Okay. Second application okay new. Third application old. Fourth application dead easy. Fifth application nothing. In the sleep also you can write. WMG is the bean ID. Anything I can take. Generally shortcut of the class name will be taken as the bean ID. Date DT. Okay. Wish message generator WMG. Wish message generator. Shortcut of the class name will be taken as the bean ID. So I will give some more points. You will get more clarity. Okay. In Spring container, we should take always class name with the package name because different classes will be there in different packages, guys. Same class name will be there in different packages. So you should give clarity. We should give clarity. Come on. Super. Yeah, in one small mistake happened, guys. Yeah, I typed mistake. Beans.
అది రైస్ కార్డులు
Yeah.
అవుతున్నాయండి మళ్ళీ
In spring container,
వేరేగా పెడుతున్నాను మళ్ళీ
spring bean is identified
అమ్మ ఇప్పుడే ఫోన్ చేసి చెప్తుంది
with its bean ID. With its bean ID. Okay, guys. Right. Right. Tell me, guys. Yeah. The spring container creates the spring bean class object having given bean ID as the object name. Given bean ID as the object name. Right, boss. Tell me, guys. Okay. The name attribute in property tag refers bean property name. Bean property name. And ref attributes refers. What, guys? Ref attributes refer spring bean class object name. Ref attribute refers the dependent spring bean class object name which needs to be injected. Which needs to be injected to target class object. Target class object. Are you listening my statement, guys? I hope this might have given clarity. Array, to which property, which class object has to be injected? To which property, which class object has to be injected? Super na, boss. This is WMG, this is BD. Everyone got the clarity, boss? Everyone got the clarity, boss? Come on. Right. Okay, boss. Now listen carefully. Shall I go to testing, boss? Let us assume this is also kept in package, guys. Now listen. This is fully qualified class name. Why? 2-3 packages may have same class name. You should give clarity. Which class package you want to make it spring bean? Fully qualified class. Fully qualified. Name Srinivas. Full name. Surname, last name, first name, everything will be given or not? Okay. Fully qualified Java class. Don't worry. We will try to get lot of basics, guys. Fully qualified means complete name, Rabo. Without knowing fully qualified class name, package name, you completed core Java, Vaibhavi madam. Check your core Java knowledge once. Right, guys. Date, class name, maybe java.util.date. Okay. Fully qualified class. Perfectly given, boss. Every detail is there. Yeah. Name Srinivas. Full name, surname, first name, last name, middle name, everything. Fully qualified class. Are you listening my statement, guys? Super. Next. Wish message generator. Wish message generator class name. Wish message generator class. Next, com.nt.sbeans. Wish message generator. What is that? Fully qualified class. Are you understanding my point? When I say fully qualified class name with package. With package. Wherever you are writing class as a Spring Bean, you must specify fully qualified class. No doubt in that. You should specify fully qualified class. Right, guys? Are you able to recognize what is what? Can I ask few questions on XML file? Can I ask few questions on XML file, guys? Bean tag is used for what purpose? Bean tag is used for what purpose? Type. Don't be lazy. Whole life you have to type. Next, at least in 10 years of career, you have to do coding only. Don't be lazy to type the letters. To configure Java class as a Spring Bean. Okay. If you configure directly becomes a later container makes. Spring container makes Java class as Spring Bean. Later Spring container takes class from that bean tag and makes it as a Spring Bean by creating object for the Java class. Yes or no? Okay, how does it make that one as Spring Bean? By loading class, by creating object, having bean ID as the object name. Having bean ID as the object name. Tell me, guys, on certain property I want to do setter injection. What is the tag I should use? What is the tag I should use? Respond. If you respond, you will be active. If you are active, you will listen the subject. If you listen the subject, you will practice. If you practice, your confidence will increase. If your confidence is increased, you will go to interview. If you go to interview, you will get the job. All are interlinked. Everything starts with how actively you are participating in the classroom. Property tag is used for what? Then what donkeys and monkeys you are catching so far, dirty fellows? Property, I have given clearly for setter injection. Someone shameless fellow is writing, I don't know, sir. Jump into the drain, ra. Because if you don't listen, at least you can read this line, na. Feel shame, ra, babu. After writing one time here, some shameless person is writing, I don't know, sir. Okay, then why are you sitting in the classroom, ra, babu? In front of your home, there is a drain. Please jump into that. Don't waste normal water also. Muddy fellows. Okay. Yeah, property tag is used for what purpose, guys? Setter injection. Okay. Tell me, bean class may have 10 to 20 properties, right? But in property tag, where you are mentioning to on which property you want to perform setter injection. In property tag, where you are mentioning on which property you are performing setter injection. Tell me, where you are mentioning name of the property in property tag. Name attribute are dirty fellow. Don't you have eyes? Name is equal to date. Name is equal to date. This much clearly there. Okay. In property tag, how you are mentioning which other Spring Bean class object should be injected to property. Which other Spring Bean class object should be injected to property. What attribute you are using for that purpose? Ref attribute. So now you are understanding on which property setter injection should happen. While doing setter injection, which other Spring Bean class object should be injected to the property. Which other Spring Bean class object should be injected to the property. So one is in name attribute, one is in ref attribute. Everyone understood my statement, guys? See, name attribute in property tag refers bean property name and ref refers the dependent Spring Bean class object name which needs to be injected to target class object. Are you understanding my statement? Sir, if 2-3 properties are there, then what should I do? Are you repeat property tag for multiple times? Right? Suppose there is one more property called XYZ. One more time property name is equal to XYZ, ref is equal to another Spring Bean class object ID. Nothing but Bean ID. Are you listening, guys? Nothing but Bean ID. This is brought from here, Ra Babu. Super, guys. Right. Now, shall I give the client application, guys? Setter injection test.java. Array, if I don't test, what's the use of doing all this stuff? So to test, I need a container, right? So here I will take a class with main method. Array, standalone application execution begins with main method. Inside the main method, I will create Spring container and I will ask Spring container, give me that Spring Bean class object. Shall I go for it now? Okay, boss. Yeah, tell me, guys. Public class setter injection test. Here is public static void main string args. Super. Public static void main string args. Tell me, guys. Create IOC container. A Spring container is also called IOC container, but I'll introduce that one later. Spring Bean Factory container. Super, guys. Create a Spring Bean Factory container. Tell me, guys. XML Bean Factory is equal to new XML Bean Factory of XML Bean Factory is equal to new XML Bean Factory of. Is that clear, guys? Super. Okay. Of res. But first of all, what should I do, guys? Locate and hold the name and location of Spring Bean configuration file. Yes, guys. Tell me. Array, already I have given this logic to you people. File system resource res is equal to new file system resource of, okay, some path, guys. I will tell what is that path. Okay, application context dot XML. Right now I am saying dot. This is like path of the file. Application context dot XML Bean Factory is equal to new XML Bean Factory of. Super means super. Right, boss? Next. Okay. Container is ready. See, guys, how easy to create the container. And in moreover, whatever res object is there, I am passing here. So indirectly, Spring Bean configuration file is given as input file while creating container or not. Array res is pointing to Spring Bean configuration file. That is passed here. That means while creating Spring container, we are giving Spring Bean configuration file or not. Yes or no? Now listen, guys. Now I can ask Spring container, you have so many beans with you. Can you give me WMG bean ID based bean class object? Can you give me DT bean ID based bean class object? That is what we are expecting now, boss. Container only should load both classes, should create object of both classes. If any injections are there, it should only complete and it should give me that object. Come on, guys. So when container will do all this thing when you ask for it, right? How to ask container to give certain class object? Array, if I get target class object, anyhow target class object will be injected with what? Dependent class object. So I can get target class object and I can call business method. This business method on the target class object or not? Say something, my dear. Be active, my dear. So there is no need of asking dependent class object separately, guys. Yes, if you ask target class object, inside that anyhow dependent class object will be injected and will come or not? Will be injected and will come or not? Super, guys. Tell me, guys. Get target class object. Target Spring Bean class object from IOC container. Okay, guys, not IOC. I will introduce IOC word later, guys. Today you remember Spring containers are also called as IOC container, but I will introduce that one officially once I explain what is IOC. Till that time, don't worry. When I use the word IOC container, think that it is a Spring container only. At right time, I will introduce that terminology. First feel it. Okay. Now listen, guys. I can ask a container, give me date class object. Give me WMG object. Tomorrow some other class will be there, that class object. Come on, guys. So there is a predefined method doing that work. What is that, you know? Factory dot get bean WMG. Yeah, there's a predefined method. Array, now onwards, container is nothing but factory, na? Now entire container is now in the controller of factory word, right? Array, this object representing container, Spring container is now in the form of factory. Factory dot get bean. Get bean is the ready-made method. WMG. If you pass X bean ID, it returns X bean class object. Y bean ID, Y bean class object. Z bean ID, Z bean class object. Okay, but what will be the return type of this method, guys? Which message generator? Data, Xa, Ya, Zda. Generic return type should be there, na? Generic return type should be there, na? If you want to see Java method can return any Java class object, generally return type will be object or not? Return type will be object or not? So that's why I'm taking this one here, object to obj. Why, sir? I may pass different bean IDs. This may return different bean class object. So that's why this method return type is what? Common return type, that is object. So that object class reference variable can refer any Java class object or not. Technically speaking, it is returning wish message generator class object only. But we are referring with what? Object class reference variable. We are returning with object class reference variable. Convinced or not? Return type of get bean method is object. Why object? Why object? Simple reason. I pass different bean IDs, then it has to return different object. It cannot take multiple return types, right? That's why its a return type is what? Object. So that method can return any Java class object or not. Return type of get bean method is java.lang.object. Java.lang. Clear, my dear? Got the clarity, my dear? Come on. Super, boss. But one problem is there, guys. When superclass reference variable is referring subclass object, can we call direct methods of the subclass using that reference variable? String result is equal to invoke business method. Please listen. String result is equal to, your core Java comes into picture now, guys. Obj dot show wish message Raja. Show wish message Raja is a valid statement or invalid statement? When superclass reference variable is referring subclass object, can we call direct methods of subclass using that reference variable? Is it valid statement or invalid statement? I don't want any other answer. I want whether it is valid or invalid. The core Java people should respond invalid. Invalid. Why? When superclass reference variable is referring subclass object, we can call only common methods of both the class, right? Only common methods of the both the class, right, boss? If you want to call direct methods of the subclass, we should go for typecasting or not? Invalid. Invalid. Use error. Because if the superclass reference variable, array core Java babu, superclass reference variable is referring subclass object, is referring subclass object, then using that reference variable we can invoke, we cannot invoke direct methods of subclass. For that, we need to go for, okay, we need to go for typecasting or downcasting. Typecasting or downcasting. I think you convinced with me, guys. Core Java will run after you like Hutch network. Core Java will run after you like Hutch network. Yes, boss. Typecasting or downcasting. We need to go for typecasting or downcasting. Super, guys. Shall I go for typecasting first? Since it is invalid statement. Since it is invalid statement, guys, this is a wrong statement. Sorry to say. This is a wrong statement. Right now, boss. Then what I'm going to do? Wish message generator. Wish message generator. Generator is equal to wish message generator of wish message generator of OBJ. Typecasting is done na, boss? Typecasting is done na, not done na? Super, guys. Right. Now, once the typecasting is done, invoke the business method. String result is equal to WMG dot, sorry, not WMG, generator dot, come on, what is the business method, guys? Show wish message Raja. Okay. Display result system.out.println result. System.out.println result, guys. End of the main method, guys. End of the class, guys. And you don't believe our application is completed. I'll show through Eclipse also. First I am writing the code on the screen for better explanation. Guys. Okay, now can we see line by line? Here what I am doing, guys, locating and holding name and location of the Spring Bean configuration file. Convinced, my dear? Super. Next, creating Spring Bean factory container having that resource object. Indirectly I am passing Spring Bean configuration file. Cool, guys? Right. Now, object obj is equal to factory.getBean method. This is very, very important method, guys. Spring container will start loading classes, creating object. Come on. Okay, guys. This WMG is the bean ID. Okay. We'll start loading classes, we'll create object, we'll manage object, we'll perform injection. Only for this call, guys. Only for this method call. When you call this, takes the bean ID WMG. Go to XML file content and searches. Is there any Spring Bean whose bean ID is WMG? There are, not there are. Respond. There are, not there are. Yes, there. What is the class name? Wish message generator. What's the class name? Wish message generator. Observes there is an injection. What injection? Property tag. Property tag means what? Setter injection. To call setter method, what is required? First of all, target class object is required, right? It notices property tag means setter injection. To call setter method, first of all, what is required? Object is required. That's why it loads the class and creates the object. It loads the wish message generator class and creates the object. First aspect will happen first. Don't be with me. Don't go away with me. Don't go away from me. Be with me. Wish message generator class object. Every word coming from mouth is very, very important in the initial days, guys. Right, guys. Tell me. Done. Whenever object is created, property allocates memory or not? There is a property called data that allocates memory or not, and methods also are there. They also allocate the memory inside the object. After all, they are non-static, right? Yeah, these are the methods, guys. These are the methods. Sumit, you want attention? Go and dance on the road. Manish Tiwari, you are not active, you are on the bed. Sit. Get up and sit and listen the class. Super. Okay, now come on, guys. Then it comes to property tag. Property name, date. Checks. Is there any date property or not? Yes. Is there any setter method for date property or not? Yes, there. Then what a ref dt. Takes the dt, guys. And searches. Is there any Spring Bean whose bean ID is dt? There are, not there are? Yes, there. Any injection enabled on it? No. That's why happily loads the class and creates the object. Date class object. What is the name, guys? dt. Only dt. Whenever date class object is created, okay, with 0 param constructor, it holds system date comma time or not. It will definitely hold system date comma time or not. I want reply. I want reply, guys. Super means super. Tell me next. Guys. Tell me next. Listen. This dt picked up and searched for this class object is created. Right now, boss? But all these things are done to complete this setter injection. All these are happened to complete this set transaction. Don't forget. So that's why what happened, guys? Here, this will be injected to this property. Injected to this property. By calling which method, guys? By calling which method? Set date dt method. So that what happened, guys? This date class object will be injected to this property or not. So here what happened, guys? Set rejection. Okay, to be more specific, WMG dot set date dt, guys. This is my set rejection.